And we're back. Welcome back to my Europa League prediction series. This is my video for all of tomorrow's Europa League games. This is a part 2. If you want to see part 1 for all of my predictions for today's Europa League matches, including, of course, Manchester United's, that video will be available for you at the top of your screen and anywhere on my channel. And whilst you're there, please do consider subscribing to the channel as well and dropping a like on both that video and on this video, because next week, best believe we are going to be doing all 54 European matches across the Champions League, Europa League and Europa Conference League. So lots and lots of predictions coming up for you over the course of the next couple of weeks. So please make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the predictions on this channel. And without any further ado, let's skip straight to the predictions screen, because there still are no Europa League results to talk about because the matches of today's games have not taken place yet. But let's talk about tomorrow's matches, starting off right now with the first match kicking off tonight between Fenerbahce and Union Saint-Gilloise. Now, Fenerbahce right now currently sits second in the Turkish Super League, whereas Union sit 12th in the Belgian League. Now, that is because they've had 4 draws, but they've not actually scored in any of their last 4 matches and have only scored 1 in their last 5. So not doing very well at the moment are Saint-Gilloise over in Belgium, whereas Fenerbahce are playing some very good stuff over in the Super League. They've only lost 1 game, like I say, so far this season. That was to one of their top competitive rivals in the Turkish League. I can't actually remember which one without looking. But the way I see it, the way that these two sides are playing at the moment, realistically, especially being at home as well, this has got to be Fenerbahce's game to lose. So I am actually going to go for a 3-0 win to them. Like I said, Union not scored in any of their last 4 matches. I think Fenerbahce have only conceded 2 or 3 in their last 5 matches. So realistically, Fenerbahce should be taking this one pretty comfortably. I am going for 3-0. That then brings us to Malmo taking on Rangers. Malmo are the defending Swedish champions and currently lead the Swedish division once again. Celtic finished runners-up in the Scottish League last season and are only 3rd so far in the Scottish League this season, and they are 5 points off both Celtic and Aberdeen in the Scottish League. So really not the best of starts for Rangers so far this season over in Scotland. Both of these sides actually qualified for this competition by losing in the Champions League qualification stage. So they had a chance of getting into the Champions League. They didn't make it, so they've ended up in the Europa League. And as luck would have it, they've ended up playing each other in this situation. Now, honestly, I really think this is a tough one to call because, you know, Rangers on their day have very good European pedigree. Malmo tend to do okay, but drift away pretty quickly in Europe. So it's a tough one. It's just one of them games where I always say, do you know what? You just go 2-1 to the home team. So I'm going to go 2-1 to the home team. I wouldn't say there's any clear favourite in this one. So for me, I just think with them being at home, being the first game of the tournament, I think Malmo just edge it. But genuinely, all 3 results possible in that one. Next up, we have Ajax taking on Besiktas. A really interesting game, this one. Both of these sides got here through the playoff system as well. Ajax did it by winning on penalties in an earlier round, but then winning very, very easily in the final knockout stages. Besiktas just got here pretty comfortably through the playoff system. As things stand at the moment, Ajax are 9th in the Eredivisie, but due to how many playoff rounds they've had to play, they do still have 2 games in hand on the rest of the competition, which could see them rise as high as 3rd, I believe. Besiktas are 3rd in the Super League so far this season and are unbeaten. Both of these teams have been involved in a lot of high-scoring matches so far this season, so Sod's Law would indicate that this is now going to be a 0-0. But I'm not going for that. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win to Ajax. But again, all 3 results possible, I believe, in this one. Next up, it is Braga taking on the Israeli champions, Maccabi Tel Aviv. They are currently the defending champions of Israel. They currently lead the Israeli league once again. Sporting Braga, however, sits 7th in the Portuguese league. Another pair of sides that qualified through the playoff system. But again, this is where you sort of have to look at where these sides have come from and ask yourself, how much credibility can you give to a side that, with all the greatest of respect to them, are the defending champions of the Israeli league? To be honest, with the quality that Braga have from the Portuguese league, this really should be their game. So I am going to go in favour of them. I'm going to go for 3-1. I do expect Braga to win this match, but who knows? Tel Aviv, more than capable of producing a result, I would say, in this one. I just think Braga are going to be too strong tomorrow night. Next up, it is Eintracht Frankfurt taking on Victoria Pilsen. Now, my history with Victoria Pilsen is quite well documented if you're someone who has been following this channel over the last couple of years, because them, along with Servette, have been in so many 0-0 games for me, where I've predicted 1-0 one way or another, and it's ended up being 0-0. Then I've predicted 0-0, and it ended up being 1-0. Thankfully, I don't think Victoria Pilsen have any chance against Eintracht Frankfurt whatsoever. So if they get their 0-0 draw tonight, I will tip my hat and say congratulations to them. As things stand, Frankfurt are 4th in the Bundesliga, and Pilsen are 3rd in the Czech League. So surely the really good Bundesliga side is going to beat the not even in the top 2 Czech sides pretty comfortably tomorrow night. I'm still going to give Pilsen their respect because they do have a very good defensive record, which has carried on so far this season as well. So I'm going to go for 2-0. But honestly, with the quality that Frankfurt have, it really should be upwards of 4 or 5-0 for this one. But I'm still going to show Pilsen their respect, given the history I have with my predictions with them over the years. So I'm going for 2-0 to Frankfurt. Next up, it is two sides that do have official long names, but they like to be referred to as literally FCSB and RFS. If I did get those wrong, I do apologise, but it is just the battle of the letters in this one. As things stand, FSCB currently sit 13th in the Romanian league this season, but are the reigning and defending Romanian champions. So they've just had an absolute stinker so far this season after being champions previously, whereas RFS are the current Latvian champions and are still first in Latvia this season. Both of these sides, like we spoke about earlier with Malmo and Rangers, both of these sides were knocked out of Champions League qualifying, but in an earlier stage of Champions League qualifying, which meant they dropped into Europa League qualifying and were then still able to get victories in those matches. So you got to say fair play to them to actually qualify for this competition, considering, you know, you're talking about the Romanian champions and the Latvian champions who, with the greatest respects, you would not expect to do well in any of these competitions, shall we say. So they now come up against each other in a situation where I've not really got much other information to go on other than they both failed in the Champions League. They've both qualified for the Europa League through the playoffs. They're both the defending champions of their respective leagues, but the Romanian side has had a worse start to the season. So with that said, with the Romanians being at home, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I really can't split them. Like, if anyone, genuinely, if you have more information about these two sides, let me know down in the comments, because there is little to nothing to go on other than what I've already just told you. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw because honestly, I just can't split them right now. We will see what happens tomorrow night. That then brings us to Olympic Lyonnais. Of course, Lyon taking on Olympiakos of the Greek league. Lyon are 14th in Ligue 1 at the moment. However, they have played, I think it's 3 of the top 4 from Ligue 1 last season. So they've had it really tough at the start of this season, and that's meant that they have had a fair few defeats, but they've all been narrow defeats so far for them. From what I can tell, they're still playing good football. They've just been a little bit unlucky. Olympiakos currently sit 3rd in the Greek league, and both of these sides actually lost at the weekend. In terms of player for player, you would definitely say that Lyon are the stronger side here, and Lyon are at home going into this game. So for me, only really one winner for this one. I am going to go for a Lyon win, but I am going to go 2-1 because I'm going to ear that little bit on the side of caution, because we know Olympiakos are a very good side on their day, and of course are the defending Europa Conference League champions. That then brings us to Roma taking on Athletic Bilbao in a game that I thought was going to be really, really tough to call initially when I saw this fixture. It gets even tougher to call when you then look into how these teams are doing so far this season. Roma are 9th in Serie A and have more draws than they have wins and losses combined. Athletic are 3rd in La Liga, which was why I was almost tempted to go for Bilbao to actually win this game. However, both Nico Williams and Unai Simon are both out injured. So arguably their best two players are unavailable for this game. So that just gives a little bit of impetus back in Roma's favour. And Roma are at home, and I always think home is a massive advantage in these competitions. So with all of that said, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I would still say, given the injuries that Bilbao have, that Roma should be considered the favourites. But like I say, they are absolute draw specialists so far this season. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw once again. And then finally, it is an English club. It is Tottenham Hotspur taking on Karabag of Azerbaijan. And get this, Tottenham fans, Karabag have done something you've never done. They've won the Premier League because Azerbaijan, their division is also called the Premier League. So, unlucky Spurs fans, you're playing against Premier League champions here. And Azerbaijan League, again, the Azerbaijan Premier League, Karabag are, of course, top once again, as they seem to always be at the moment, whereas Spurs sit 10th in the Premier League. What's ridiculous about this fixture is both teams have a player suspended. Romero suspended for Spurs, Medina suspended for Karabag. How Romero got suspended, I actually don't know, but it is Christian Romero. Like, he could get suspended for anything these days. Medina is suspended because he got suspended for getting either combination of bookings or sent off in the playoff system. So, understandable as to why he's missing. But yeah, Romero suspended like he always is. Ultimately, even if Spurs put out a weaker side here, they should be beating Karabag. They are a good side, Karabag. Don't get me wrong. They've got some good results over the last couple of years in Europe. But against a genuine Premier League quality side in Tottenham, if they don't win at home to Karabag, it's quite embarrassing, to be honest with you. So I'm going for a 4-1 victory to Spurs to round off all of my Europa League predictions. As always, check out, well, I can't get my words out. As always, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. You now have all 18 fixtures available for you before a ball is even kicked. So don't forget to check out the other video as well if you missed that from yesterday. Thank you very much for watching and listening. As always, I'll be back tonight with my reaction to Manchester United's game. Then we'll have a day off. And then Friday morning will once again be Premier League predictions. Once again, I will see you there.